And we take you to the Northwest now, where the delay hit the North West ANC list conference, and it also got underway with registration taking place overnight. Voting is expected to take place today. ENC's Moloko Moloto is following proceedings and joins us live now from Orkney with the very latest. What is going on there, Moloko?
Well, Bongiwe, I am sure you can see the elated crowd of delegates singing behind me. They are singing Reaorata Wena Supra, essentially saying, "We love you, Supra." Supra Mahuma Pelu being the former chairperson of the African National Congress in this province. His PEC was disbanded by the National Executive Committee late last year. Of course, that decision making a lot of people, ANC members, extremely unhappy to an extent that a faction that is now led by Supra Mahuma Pelu himself is now challenging that decision in court. Now, these delegates who are singing as they are going into the conference venue, wherein they will elect candidates who will represent the ANC after next year's elections, they are making it clear that they are going to be electing people who are aligned with Supra Mahuma Pelu. So the ghost of Supra Mahuma Pelu is still well entrenched here. His popularity by no means has it waned.
And Moloko, I was going to ask you about that apparent Supra hangover. How much of influence has that hangover had on the delays that we have seen in the Northwest, with them not being able to sit twice for their list conference?
Well, in fact, it was more than twice. We are told by delegates that there had been approximately 7 attempts to hold that list conference that is being held here today. The other one, remember, it ended in violence. One of the delegates was even stabbed. So the list conference, you would remember, it's a matter of life and death for some of the people, because this is wherein people, politicians, tend to flex their muscles. Remember, this is the process wherein the ANC is going to elect people who will be in parliament, people who will be in the legislatures. Now, potentially, these are people who are going to be ministers or MECs or even premiers. Now, it's very important, of course, for every politician who has interest to make sure that they have influence in the whole process. Now, Supra Mahuma Pelu, absolutely, he still wants control one way or the other in this province. That is why he wants the decision of the NEC nullified. And in other words, if the courts were to rule in their favor, remember the court will be hearing the matter on the 28th of January. If they rule in their favor, it would mean that Supra Mahuma Pelu will be back as the chairperson of this province, meaning that he will be presiding over the PEC, which will overlook or oversee the process leading to the provincial elective conference. We are told, actually, delegates were telling us yesterday that even if the Supra faction does not win that court case, going into the elective conference, they want him to come back as the provincial secretary. We know that's a very strategic position. If you are the secretary, essentially you are the engine of the ANC in any province you will be operating from.
And it does look like these divisions go very deep, especially with yesterday, as you were, speaking to different delegates, expressing various opinions. Some in the Cyril Ramaphosa camp, others in the Supra Mahuma Pelu camp. These divisions, what has the PTT had to say about them? Has the convener spoken out?
Remember, when the ANC National Executive Committee disbanded the PEC that was led by Supra Mahuma Pelu, it was after scenes of violence were seen across the Northwest province. You'd remember that residents went on a rampage for over a week, actually even prompting President Cyril Ramaphosa to even come back from overseas before his journey could even end, coming down to address that particular chaotic incidents. And we also saw government sending a team that is led by Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the minister in the presidency, Ultimately, we saw national government even taking over. Now, the ANC was clear that they had to disband the PEC because the divisions were highly entrenched and they believed that it was impossible to move forward with the previous PEC. Now, interestingly, you have people who were in the forefront calling for the removal of Supra as Premier and as Chairperson. Today, the very same people are now begging Supra, wanting him back. And these are the people who are vocal. Yesterday we spoke to some of them, some people like Lopang Rothman, who is the treasurer of the Kenneth Kaunta district where this conference is being held. And some of the people who were speaking to us off camera, they want Supra back despite the fact that they wanted him gone. They are blaming, as well as the other alliance partners, COSATU, the SACP and Sanko, all of them are blaming the PTT, saying that it has really not done enough. Now the PTT, the convener of it, who is also the Premier, Job Mokoro, last night when he was speaking to the media, he said the accusations that they have not done enough are unfair because when they were appointed, the divisions were well entrenched and they have only been in office for 3 months only. He said that people must be fair when they criticize them. Now, one of the accusations was that the people who are in the PTT, the ANC Women's League, lashed out and said, why should you have 95% of people, the people in the PTT, 95% of them, the Women's League, saying they are all available. So essentially, a lot of people are unhappy, but the PTT has defended itself and said there's nothing wrong they are doing if they're showing interest.
Thank you very much for that insight there. That was our reporter, Moloko Moloto, live from the Northwest in Orkney, where that list conference is currently underway.